Luis Valdez is known as the father of Chicano theater. He started in the late 60s, early 70s, so this is fairly new. We want to aspire to showing us that we can not only get out there and direct and act, but we can make a difference. When he went out into the fields and he presented actos, he encouraged others that were right in the fields to participate in the plays. And he made them a part of the acting experience, which was wonderful. And then those who were in the fields got to immediately become the audience and see what was happening. So he gave them voice, which helped them to then participate in the UFW. Now with these plays, he was showing America, mainstream America, what was happening in the fields. And that gave credit and a lot of interest and help for the UFW to not only grow, but be supported. He really used those two genres and blended them beautifully together and sparked something really different and new, which made other directors come out like Montezuma Esparza, and we see La Bamba, and we see Selena and Mi Familia, but really we need more. And it's about time that we step up to do that.
My name is Juan Luis Guzman. I'm an English instructor at Fresno City College. I'm also chairman of the Selma Arts Council for the city of Selma, where I volunteer at the Selma Arts Center as a director. When credits roll in a movie or a TV show, I know I'm one that kind of looks at the names and sees the last names and wonders, who's working in production, who's working in acting. And so you do see more Latinos, more people of color working behind the cameras than you do in front of the camera. And a lot of the times, those people started out wanting to be actors, wanting to be in front of the camera, and were just kind of pushed behind the camera because the opportunities just aren't there. The difficulty is having actors that are Latino come out to even audition for productions, right? Being on stage or being able to go to see theater or plays is kind of a luxury that's not always afforded to people like Latinos. Personally, I'll say, we didn't grow up in a family that had the money to go see theater or that even really talked about cultural arts. And so I think right now, as Latinos, the struggle is kind of leaders in the community to step forward and show that Chicanos have a place in the theater and in the film.
My perception of gangs is a very poor community of which you are born into. And there really is no way to determine when somebody joins a gang. What I may perceive as a gang may be different from what you perceive as a gang. I grew up in the Fresno area. That is a very poor community. So I would have to say any gang activity or what can be considered gang activity is really a reaction to governmental policy. I think you have to get to the heart of the problem, what's lacking from their lives. I think all those things are important to consider when talking about gang activity, because if they don't understand it and all they want to do is punish it, we're going to have nothing but criminals. To understand it would effectively alleviate the problem rather than just punish people for suffering from a problem. What I see myself doing is obtaining an associate's in Native American Studies, a bachelor's in Native American Studies, and then go on to law school to practice federal Indian law. I think a solution to gangs or even poverty-stricken communities would be the pursuit of a better understanding of where these people come from and where they want to go as people. It's our own responsibility to initiate the younger generation, and it's the government's job to stay out of the way and allow us to do that, not break up our communities, not disassemble ethnic courses in college, not criminalize us, not come up with terms like illegal alien. Don't racial profile. I mean, there's a million things that the government can do by just standing back and allowing us the cultural freedom to become ourselves.
My name is Kenneth Chacon, and I am an English instructor here at Fresno City College. I also teach in the Puente program. One of the things that attracted me to the gang lifestyle was it was a way for me to be proud of my Latino heritage, my Chicano heritage, and not take any crap from anybody. My particular little clique, not too many of them spoke Spanish. They grew up in my neighborhood, so it's kind of like a way to click up and still be proud of who we were, and yet we weren't fully Mexican and we weren't accepted by white people. So we were kind of in this limbo. There was no time when I just said, okay, I'm not gonna be in a gang anymore. It was more like, you know, moving on to college. I transferred to UC Davis from Fresno City College and just got introduced to the idea of being proud of who you are, being proud of being Latino, but doing it in positive ways as opposed to being on the street. You know, I got involved with Mecha and different activities at UC Davis, and it just kind of expanded my mind and taught me I can be proud of who I am and yet exercise that pride in a way that is beneficial to my community instead of tearing it down. And I, you know, honestly, it's really the work that, you know, I feel God has done in me. I want to be the role model that shows them there are other ways. You don't have to be a punk, and you can still make a good living. You can still bless your community, and you can still help others, you know. I think that's the best way that I help.
So for me, I think the biggest hurdle for the Latino community is making sure that we have better examples out there. So that was the reason that working on Amanda Renteria's race was such a big thing for me, because she was the first ever Latina chief of staff in the history of the United States Senate, which is really kind of sad when you think about it, considering how many people we have that are Mexican American that are being represented currently by the people in Congress and by the people in the Senate. But I think the biggest thing is making sure that we as a community understand the impact that it has when we don't vote, when we don't participate, and then also making sure that we have great examples, we have great leaders who are not only fighting as a representative for the Latino community, but making sure that when they are fighting, they're fighting in ways that benefit us. So when it comes to immigration reform, when it comes to, you know, like just the DREAM Act, we had several people, political leaders in Central Valley who voted against the California DREAM Act, which a lot of us here currently use and are able to go to school because of it. So I think it's about getting all of us in the same mindset that not only do we have a voice as one people, but we need to use that voice as much as possible. And the less we use it, unfortunately, the more we get hurt.
My name is Adriana Del Toro. I go to Fresno City College. I do vote. I am a registered voter. I belong to the Democratic Party. I feel like all young people should register to vote as soon as possible, as soon as they turn 18, because we are the future and we need to know what's going to be happening and what is happening. We need to understand the system in order to run the system, and we will be the majority race in the up and coming years. And in California, we are the majority race, so I feel like we should play a big role in our government.
Areas of opportunity for our school district, for our school, is the fact that, you know, we are located in a rural community. Here at Orosi High School, we are creating academies, and part of the academy process is that for all those students that are enrolled in the academies, they are going to do what's called work-based learning. It's an internship. For example, for the Academy of Health Sciences, we're going to have a lot of our students, by the time they get to their junior, senior year, do internships at hospitals, clinics, and that's the best example that I can give you. We're very limited on the number of clinics that we have here in Orosi, called Orosi. We are getting creative on ways to make it happen for our students. As compared to a school district like Clovis, you know, they have hospitals, clinics, they have Fresno, they have a lot more resources close to them. Let's use McFarland, the cross-country team, right? They just made a movie out of their story. They kept winning and winning and winning. Eventually they ended up in Division I, but they're a small school. And now they don't qualify for the state championships. There's some conversations because, you know, it's not the same when you have a high school of 3,000 students to a high school of 1,000. But then there's that conversation about competitive equity. You know, I mean, if you're winning, you don't want to stay in Division 5 your entire life, because then it's not challenging. I think it's a very exciting time in our community here in Orosi. making a lot of changes for the betterment of our educational systems. Our motto is very important to us: dream big, work hard, give back. I worked in bigger districts, and I really like the feel that we have here in Caldwell Rose.
My parents and also all my aunts and uncles were born in Mexico. My dad came here in the 80s. He received his green card, and then he married my mom in 92. In 93, she applied for her residency while she was still in Mexico. It took her like around, I gotta say, around 10 to 12 years, and it also took some money in order to receive her residency. It's a major obstacle for undocumented immigrants to obtain residency because many of them don't have a lot of money. They work low-paying jobs, and the 20 to 30 minute consultation with the immigration attorney can cost up to $300. And if you do end up hiring one and that goes through the whole process with you, it could add up to $15,000, and many of them don't even have that kind of money. Upon receiving residency, they still have to wait 4 to 5 years in order to go through the naturalization process. Even after they wait those 4 to 5 years, they still have to pay even more money. I know that the application fee costs around $680. In order to help with the financial barriers, I think the government should either lower the cost of the application fee or even sponsor many of them. But a lot of people would argue and say that's just wasting money. In my opinion, Latino immigrants have a good work ethic, and I think they would really contribute to the American economy.